is sending out here to California. They should be arriving either late tonight or early in the morning. They should begin their investigation sometime tomorrow. And as she mentioned, they'll be looking into pilot history, the maintenance records on this particular helicopter. They'll talk to the owner, operator of the helicopter as well, trying to get background on what may have caused this to go down. Keep in mind the weather was a little foggy out along that part of Southern California this morning. We don't know for sure if that played a role, but certainly that'll be taken into consideration.
I was surprised that wasn't a question that was asked, however, there in Washington, D.C., and maybe they weren't aware about the fog. I know, Glenn, you live up in that area, and really
yeah, foggy? It was very foggy this morning. So I would, when I heard, I was like, boy, that's a bad time to be flying a helicopter.
Yeah.
And that was just initially when all I saw was a message on my phone from KTLA, an alert that said there was a helicopter crash in Calabasas, and I was like, whoa, that's a little close. And then it was probably about 30 minutes later when it started coming out that Kobe was on board.
Yeah, you were talking before we went to the NTSB about the first couple times you saw Kobe play. You were in New York at the time working for another network, and you had to be impressed by what you saw.
Oh, absolutely. I was here the first go around 90 to 95 at Prime Ticket Network, and that was at the showtime was over. I mean, Magic was still playing. A lot of the core group were still there. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had already retired. That first year they went to the finals and they lost to the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. That was Michael Jordan's first of 6 NBA titles. And then things from there started to fall apart here. But it was great going to the games. It was a lot of fun. I became a Laker fan more than just covering the team. And then I went to New York, and as Darren could probably tell you, dealing with the Knicks is a nightmare. They're like one of the worst run franchises, and they were just terrible to deal with. And the Nets were okay, and then but I kept my eye on what was going on here, and they got Shaquille O'Neal, and they got Kobe, and they started to win again, and then oddly enough, the Nets, who historically were like one of the biggest, they were like the old Clippers. They were the East Coast version of the old Clippers. They were horrible, but suddenly they built a good team and they get to the finals, but they had to play the Lakers, and so I was, you kind of wanted to see the Nets win because it's a good story for you, but at the same time, it was cool to see the Lakers do what they did, and he was just something else to watch. But, he still had to defer to Shaq a little bit. Well, actually quite a bit, and that maybe what kind of caused the rift between them.
Yeah, Darren, you've been covering the Lakers for years. They've had so many great players, so many Hall of Famers that come here. Why is it that Kobe just kind of sticks out from everybody else?
Well, from beginning to end, 20 years, you saw the rise. He was one of Jerry West's guys who came in and was, he made himself into a great player. He was athletic and he had all kinds of tools, but he wasn't polished. People forget, his first year in the playoffs with the Lakers, he shot some air balls in the clutch in the playoff. And obviously, some people, that can define them. For Kobe Bryant, it motivated him. It drove him. And his workouts during the offseason were legendary. I mean, 2,000 shots a day.
It's like the quarterback throwing 5 interceptions in a game, but then throwing a game-winning touchdown pass in the clutch. Yeah. That's what he was. It never bothered him.
Originally, though, wasn't he supposed to go to Charlotte?
He was. I think officially he was drafted.
He was actually drafted by Charlotte,
and then traded for Vlade Divac.
And what was it that Jerry West saw in a 17, 18-year-old kid that he would get rid of Vlade and bring this unknown into an organization? What was West thinking?
I think what Jerry saw, and I think it's what everybody looks for in athletes, is he saw a genuine love for the game. And we're in an era now where there are a lot of young players that know that they're going to get drafted and they're going to make a lot of
big money. Yeah.
And they're going to have a brand, and they dye their hair blonde, and it's all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But Kobe Bryant, all he wanted to do was destroy you. He wanted to beat you. He was competitive. He was the Mamba. And I'll never forget in a press conference covering him, I think it was against Allen Iverson in the 76ers, and there was some kind of beef, and there were all these storylines, and it was David versus Goliath, and it was all this stuff. And Kobe Bryant, I'll never forget, was at a press conference, and he said, what Allen has to understand is, I don't care about anything but beating him. And that was what drove him. And I don't know if we have those kind of competitors today.
Yeah, and that work ethic, I think that was shared by Kobe with everybody that was around him. You could tell that was what it was going to be like. It seems like a lot of people picked up on that